Hey, welcome to my show. Derek teaches SAS Programming, Lesson 1. Let's get right to it. So the purpose of these lessons is to teach SAS code in specific. And the lessons are actually designed by the requests that I have from you, from the people I've met from various data analysis, data science circles in the Mississauga, Toronto area. I don't really take requests online, but these videos are tailored specifically to some of you that I've met in person. So let's get right to it. Let's pull up SAS. There it is. I'm using SAS 9.4 on my home computer, and I have a little home network. But basically, you can take these lessons, you can download the trial version, you can buy SAS 9.4, and you can follow along. So I was asked to make my first example based on importing a CSV file. So for the sake of the example, let's pretend that we own a store that sells watches. So I have some data here in a tabular form. I have these watches in my store, and I have in this table the manufacturer, the model, the description. The second number is the unit price, and the last number is, the second number is actually the inventory, and the last number is the unit price. So I want to look at this data. I want to examine this data and make decisions about my store that sells watches. But how do I get started analyzing this data in SAS? So first thing, let's open up a new program. Let's create a new program here in the current project. So you can see here the blank area is where I type my program. And the program, any program in SAS uses two kinds of commands. There's data commands that start with the word data, and then there are proc commands. So what these tags do is they collect the two different kinds of commands to be used to process data. The data command, what it does is it focuses on the import and the export and the connections of SAS between the different data sources, and the proc commands usually focus on how the data is displayed, and it can focus on calculations, but you'll see in today's example that there are a lot of calculations that are done in the data section. I want to start by importing this CSV file. So I'm going to start with a data type command, a data type box. I'm going to need to label the data when it's in SAS. So I'm going to call the data watch underscore INV for watch inventory. And then in this almost like module container, I'm going to create the commands that I'm going to use to import the data. And I'm always going to end this sort of module, this sort of container of commands, with a run command. Let's take a look at the CSV file. Here it is here. Manufacturer, model, description of the watch. This is the inventory, 37. I have set 37 of the Casio Pro Tech watch, and the unit cost of each of these Pro Tech watches is $100. And you can see here that the file name of the CSV file is called watch underscore inventory.csv. In order to import the file, I start with a command called infile, I-N-F-I-L-E. I want to type in the path of where I've saved the file. So if you're using 9.4, on your home computer, maybe you've saved the file in your C drive, underscore files underscore watch inventory dot CSV. This is typically how you would indicate the path of where you've saved your CSV file. Because this is a CSV file, I have to make sure that I tag the in file. If I don't put a tag at the end, it's going to think the in file is a txt file. So I have to type in this tag DSD. DSD stands for it's just a code representing the CSV that this file uses commas to separate the data types, and I always end in the colon. This is typically what you would do if you did save your file in your C drive. I actually have a little network at home, so I actually have it on a separate server. I guess I'm getting a little fancy, but I know a lot of you that I've met, you're in a job where you have these files, these flat files, these systems located in different networks. So I have to use a different path. But either is good. There you go. So that imports the file, but this command probably won't run in a way that we want. We want to also label the different data types in their columns. Because the CSV is separated by commas, I want the headings in my table to be manufacturer, model number, model description, inventory by units, and unit price. So what I need to do next is indicate what the columns are going to be. And I do that with an input command. Input. And so the next field is the manufacturer name. Manufacturer and you. If I leave the column name like this, SAS will automatically think it is a number. In order to make sure that this field, this data is imported as a text, I have to put a string command. Next space is model. Model is also a string, a text. Description. It's also a text. Now, if I only want to import those three columns, I could end the command with a colon. But I also want to import the numbers, the values. I don't need to make sure that all my lines end in a colon. If I go to the next line, SAS automatically knows that the next line is a continuation of the last line. So I can just go ahead and enter in the next column name. So the on-hand inventory is a number, so I don't have to put a string here. And a cost per is the cost per unit. Notice that, so this command is on two lines. I could just as easily put it on one. For the sake of readability, I'm going to put it on two. The screen I'm using now is actually a little larger than the one that I like to use. So my computer is actually really small, so I like to keep my lines short. And then I can end in the run. This piece of code is complete. The CSV file will import properly and correctly with this code alone. So I could run this command without a proc command or a proc container with the commands. So let's see what happens. Ooh, I have an error. So for the sake of this tutorial, let's go through the error. You can see here that there is a log function every time I run the command. And as I scroll down into log, it tells me what the error is. So the physical file does not exist. So this means that I've probably labeled my path incorrectly. So I can't find this file. Let's see here. What have I done incorrectly? I have left out S users in my path name. And I'm going to hit run. Yes, I want to replace the results from the previous run. So there you have it. You have a taste of what SAS can do, and I've also showed you what happens when you make a mistake in the code and you have to debug the error. And then the final product is the table here. Obviously, this is a very raw table. It's not a report that can be formatted, but you can see the results now. You can see that SAS has inputted this data into a normal table, and that's the end of today's lesson. Thank you.